Am I the a-hole for not making my kids share their things with their half-siblings and forcing my ex to move? I, 45 male, have 2 kids with my ex-wife Mel, 40 female, Emmy, 14 female, and Travis, 11 male. We divorced several years ago after a pretty nasty split. I'm not a high-income guy, but I have a family trust from my grandfather that provides a very comfortable lifestyle. It wasn't counted in the divorce, nor could it be touched for child support or alimony, which Mel still resents to this day. Mel never went back to work after the divorce. She used to be a teacher, and I let her live rent-free in one of my parents' properties so the kids could stay close. She's since remarried and has 2 more kids with her new husband, but money still seems to be a major issue in that household. Here's where the real issue starts. My kids have a much nicer life, for lack of a better term. They go to private school, get good gifts, recently a Switch 2, lacrosse gear, and a new MacBook, and take vacations with me and my family. Their half-siblings don't get the same, and it's led to a lot of jealousy and fighting. My kids refuse to share their stuff with their half-siblings anymore because things have been broken in the past, like a PS4 that mysteriously stopped working after a visit. They don't want their stuff ruined, and honestly, I don't blame them. Apparently, this caused yet another meltdown between Mel and her husband, and now she's banned the kids from bringing their gifts to her house at all. So now they're staying with me more, because why would they want to go somewhere they can't enjoy the things they own? This set off a domino effect. Mel is now filing for child support, which, again, she's allowed to do. And in response to everything, my parents told her she'll need to start paying rent in September. She's now claiming she can't afford it and that we're forcing her to move out of state, even though she can't take the kids with her. It's turning into a full-blown meltdown. But here's the thing, and I know this is harsh, at some point, she and her husband need to get it together and stop blaming me and my kids for their lack of resources. Life isn't always fair. Our kids have different opportunities, and that's not my responsibility to balance out. I'm not going to tell my kids they have to share everything just so their half-siblings don't feel bad. That's not how the world works. I could help more, sure, but why should I keep picking up the slack because she and her husband can't provide? I already let her live rent-free for years. I don't think I owe more than that. That said, maybe I'm being too blunt or dismissive. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Your ex has not gone back to work, remarried, and her new husband and kids live rent-free along with your kids in a property owned by your parents. Your ex wants you to subsidize her and her new kids. Not the a-hole, but you should go to court for majority custody. The environment at your ex's is toxic. Yeah, I'm kind of baffled that this woman never bothered to manage her own finances and expects her ex to give her money. And she's married. And what the heck did they do with their money if they didn't even need to pay rent? Me, I'd have a good-sized nest egg and be working on buying my own house. Ex obviously didn't take advantage of the extra resource she had while she had it. You need to go to court and get custody of your children. Their living situation with their mother is toxic and not good for them. You have done more than enough for your ex by allowing her to live rent-free in one of your parents' properties. If she goes to court, I don't think they will do too much because you are contributing by letting her live in the rent-free property, but it would be a good time for you to try and get custody. From what OP writes, it sounds like she was getting more via the free rent than she would from child support. That's based on the parent's income and standard of living. It sounds like his child supportable income is minimal, and their standard of living was based on what his parents could or can provide, rather than what OP could provide. So there's a high chance that she would receive far less than what she was receiving by way of free rent. Next story. Am I the a-hole for rejecting my father's attempt to be in my life after 20 years, and for not wanting to form a relationship with his young children? My father was never in my life. I'm 20 male. His parents and siblings were. I grew up seeing them once a week, and sometimes more if they had things going on. My mom was on good terms with them. But him? The first time I saw him was 6 months ago. He showed up at a cousin's wedding that I was also attending. Then I saw him again 2 weeks ago. He approached me at my grandmother's birthday party. He said he was sorry for not being there and that he wanted me to know he wanted to try and prove himself to me. He said he wanted me to give him a chance. I told him it was way too late and I wasn't interested. He asked if he could change my mind at all. I said no. Then he tried to tell me that he'd drive over once a week if I agreed and that he'd be there for me. He'd pay for stuff like he never did before. He offered to do anything, and I told him nothing could make up for 20 years of never seeing his face, of Mom being forced to raise me alone. I said he didn't get to change his mind after all her hard work. He ran back to his wife looking dejected. His wife approached me just before I left, and she asked me to consider a relationship with her and my father's children. They have 3 kids under 8. She said they wanted to approach me both times they saw me, but they didn't feel like I wanted them to. She said my grandparents were willing to give us a chance to get to know each other. She said it would be great if we could be in each other's lives. I told her I understood she was looking out for her kids, but I'm an only child in the ways that count for me. I said I'd be friendly with her kids if I were speaking to them, but I didn't want a deeper relationship. She left it at that. Following the party, I heard from my 2 aunts, and they wanted to know why I was unwilling to work on any of this. They said they could understand my feelings toward my father, but they felt like I was throwing away a chance to have something I wanted as a kid, something I deserved. Their bigger issue was me refusing to form a relationship with those kids. They asked me what my reason for that was, and I told them I don't have a dad or a second parent. I only have Mom. She only has me. Therefore, I'm an only child. I said they would be more like cousins, but I wasn't going to string them along and let them think I wanted to be their brother. There's been a lot of back and forth since with my aunts. They do not support my decision. They said whether I like it or not, I am not an only child, and while that is biologically true, the man raising them had nothing to do with me and had no part in making me who I am. The only parent I have is my mom. I can acknowledge I'm still related to these kids, but I cannot find it in me to care enough to form a relationship. I'll be friendly like I told their mom, but ultimately, I wouldn't ever go out of my way to spend time with or get to know them. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Shame on your aunts. It's ludicrous that they expect you to show up for his kids when he never showed up for you. And I can only imagine that it would be painful for you to see him raising those children when he never even saw you as a child. He's a sperm donor at best, and I highly doubt he paid child support. So as well as being absent, he's also a deadbeat. Where was their concern for a child not having their family around when you were the child in question? Did they harass your dad about his scummy behavior the way they're now harassing you? Just because you share genetics with these kids, that doesn't make them siblings. He never paid child support. My mom fought for it and my grandparents actually funded her attorney, but he never seemed to have a job or was claiming welfare, so nothing could really be done. I know his family did talk to him back then, and then he moved and stopped talking to them until a year ago. But still, they could give him grief about it now instead of me. Not the a-hole. Your sperm donor blew it 20 years ago by running out on his wife and baby. He doesn't deserve any chances. Besides, I notice how young their kids are and can't help but think that they are using this as an attempt to get a free babysitter. It could be that, or it could be his wife just wants her kids to have a relationship with me. It doesn't really influence my answer though, but regardless, I would never be a prick to kids and they did nothing wrong. Their parents could save them a lot of heartache if they don't make promises on my behalf. I know some people are awful for that. I'm wondering when the wife found out about you since they weren't in contact with his family until a year ago. She might be a decent person and was not thrilled when she found out what he did. She seems like she is both making overtures and trying to respect your wishes. It's possible he's trying to do damage control on his own marriage. And that's why your family is trying to talk you into having contact with the kids. They need to back off, but it would make more sense if wife and kids are good people, and she was really upset when she found out what he did. It's possible, like she did back off after we talked. She didn't keep pressing the issue like he did, and she didn't try to shame me. So I won't rule that out, and I don't want to think the worst of her. My interaction with her wasn't terrible. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to let my older sister stay with me after what she did to my brother when we were younger? So I, 23 female, live alone in a small apartment that I've worked really hard for. I keep to myself, pay my bills, and try not to bother anyone. My older sister, 28 female, recently asked to stay with me for a few weeks because she's going through a breakup and doesn't want to be alone. She said it would only be temporary, but I told her no, and now half my family is calling me heartless. But here's the thing. When we were growing up, my sister hated our little brother who is 2 years younger than me. So he was around 10 when this happened. I honestly believe she bullied him. She'd scream at him over nothing, blame him for things she did, and my parents always believed her. One time, she locked him outside in the middle of winter for being annoying and left him there for almost an hour while she played video games inside. I'll never forget how red his hands were when I let him in. I begged my mom to do something, but she brushed it off as sibling fights. It wasn't just one incident. My brother used to cry to me at night because he thought no one in the family liked him. When I finally moved out, I took him in a few weekends at a time just to give him peace. We're super close now. He is 21 and doing well, but to this day he has zero contact with our sister. She never apologized or even acknowledged how she treated him. So when she asked to stay with me recently, all I could think about was how cold and cruel she was. I told her no, and she went off, said I was punishing her for childhood stuff, called me cold, selfish, and dramatic. Our mom took her side, as usual, and said I was letting my grudge break apart the family. But I'm not holding a grudge. I just don't want to live with someone who made my brother feel worthless for most of his childhood and has never once owned up to it. So, am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. How many members of your family supporting her have offered to take her in? What goes around comes around. Not the a-hole. And you handled it way more gracefully than I ever could. Yep, we've got another golden child. Do not ever let her in. She is vile and vicious. Honestly, I don't think you're the a-hole here. You've been carrying a lot of weight seeing how your sister treated your brother, and it's not something that just goes away because time passed. What she did was really cruel, and the fact she never apologized or acknowledged it makes it even harder to just welcome her into your home. You're protecting your peace and standing up for your brother, which is more than fair. Family can be messy, but that doesn't mean you have to sacrifice your own well-being or let someone toxic back into your life. You set boundaries, and that's okay. Agree with this comment. Clearly, the sister in question has a history of toxicity. You don't want that in your home, not the a-hole. Last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my sister-in-law her son's speech impediment might be because of the way she talks to him? My husband's sister has 3 kids, 6, 4, and a 1-year-old. I don't know how to explain it, but she coddles them a lot. Like, she still spoon-feeds the 2 younger kids, and sometimes spoon-feeds the older one if he doesn't want to eat. It's really weird for me, especially because my parenting style has always been encouraging independence. My own child is too, and she eats by herself because I've never spoon-fed her before. I just added that as an example of how her parenting is. She also baby talks, really badly. For example, 6-year-olds, I gonna go store. Mama gonna go store and get you more, okay? This yucky, this big people food, you not like it. It makes me inwardly cringe because she also does this annoying baby voice to all the kids, including the 6-year-old. My mother-in-law does it too when she speaks to the kids, but I asked her to talk to my child normally. Her oldest has a speech impediment. He doesn't stutter or anything. He speaks clearly, in a baby voice. His grammar is worse than my 2-year-old's, and he repeats words a lot. He speaks exactly how his mom talks to him. We were together the other night, and the 6-year-old was trying to explain something to my husband, and my husband just stared at him, looked at his sister, and said that he couldn't understand anything the 6-year-old was saying. His sister just laughed it off and explained what he was trying to say, but my husband was concerned and brought up the fact that he's going to 1st grade and talks like this. His sister just said he'll grow out of it, and that speech therapy won't do anything. I couldn't help myself and spoke up, saying that maybe if she encouraged proper language and spoke to him in a normal voice, it would help. She and my mother-in-law did not like that. They got angry, and told me that I'm just way too harsh of a parent and that I'm a horrible person. I left in tears, and my husband says that while he agrees with me, maybe it wasn't my place to bring it up. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. They always shoot the messenger, but someone needed to step in and do something, so this kid doesn't get obliterated into being the weird lonely kid for all of school. And the fact that they immediately got defensive and said OP is a horrible person, OP didn't go to personal attacks and name-calling like behavior. This poor kid is gonna get made fun of. Kids can be mean, not the a-hole OP. If she thinks you are harsh, wait until the first grade teachers get a hold of her. Not the a-hole. Someone has to say it. My thoughts exactly. The teacher will think it's the child until the teacher hears the mom talking to the child like that. Then the mom will find out speech therapy is part of school, and it does help. Reading teacher and dyslexia practitioner here. He is going to have all kinds of trouble in school. Unfamiliar words for reading, writing, and speaking because of that. Let's not even talk about social skills. I could go into detail, but he is going to struggle. For how long depends on the child. Hopefully, he will pick up the language quickly once he is in school and is aware of how to communicate with his peers. Did he already attend kindergarten? If so, how did that go? I'm not giving a judgment. I understand it can be hard to stand by when someone's behavior is massively hindering a child. That said, talk to your husband